So, given the alley cap, that gargoyle's looking looking a little better at the moment.
It's true. Having a defender is a little bit relevant. So lucky. Meanwhile, it looks like we've got some updates on the back table. I wonder if we can actually set up John Becker down there. We'll give a throw down to him and see if we can get some updates. We'll get Becker set up on a spot and let him tell you what's going on those back tables. What we know so far is that Aaron Brackman is up 2-0 on Big Oots. Rasmus Seabass has led this tournament wire to wire, but threatening a quarterfinal exit. And here we've got Shuhei Nakamura up 2-0 on Antonino DeRosa.
And I believe Christian Hutenberg is up one game on.
Let's see what John's got to say down there. Hey, John, what's going on those back tables?
Hey, we had two really struggling sort of matches on the back where everybody, the board really got bogged down. Everybody's picking each other for 1 point, points here and there. They were very much different though. The Quentin versus Christian match had like just horrible creatures on the board. It was like a Spark Mage was fighting against a Stinkweed Imp. Not that it's not a good creature, but it's not exactly what you want to be, brawling with. And it was down to 2 to 1 life, and Quentin finally drew in 2 lands in a row, so he couldn't answer the Stinkweed Imp for the final point. And,
so Hutenberger got game 1?
Hutenberger got game 1 over there.
Right.
And in the other match, it was a lot of quality creatures on the board. There was a Vidalcan Trancer, there was the 2-1 unblockable Azorius guy that gets you 4 life. A lot of very quality guys. And Halcyon Glaze bringing the beats for Joe Crosby, but unfortunately he was facing down a lot of Raftmen on his side of the board. He had the Rukin Ally and 2 of the spiders that had been pumped up by the Rukin Ally, and he drew a Rule Scrapper with haste with 3 or 4 Simic guys on the board. So that thing became a 7-5, 7-6, and pulled that over. He just said, it's too much all at once.
That's where the Scrappers wound up.
And again, it was very close. It was down to like, I think he only has the single Scrapper, but he's a lot of guys that enhance it when it comes into play.
Okay.
And he just had like just one more guy. As soon as he got the one extra haste guy, he could push through. I mean, Crosby's guys are very high quality, but they can't trade with anything on the side of the board.
No, he's pretty tempo down.
Right.
He's got to win on tempo.
Right, and it was just a little bit too much.
So Takuya Osawa takes the 1-0 lead on Joe Crosby.
Again, it was very close to him. It was a 10-9 life thing, and periodically Joe would manage to sneak in 4 damage to Halcyon Glaze, so he was bringing it down. But that Scrapper just took it out.
All right, well, thanks, John. We're going to go back to table number 1. Keep us updated on the back table.
Sure will.
Antonino DeRosa and Shuhei Nakamura have been flying through this game. I didn't even notice that they had started. My apologies for...
Antonino looks like he's gotten off to an excellent board position. He's got a Snapping Drake that is turned sideways. He's got
a Steel Core Weird that has sent a Commando to the graveyard. He's got Benevolent Ancestor holding off the ground versus Trumpeter, and is that the Eidolon?
No, that's a Tinstry Hooligan.
Oh, Tinstry Hooligan. So pair of 2-1s for Shuhei Nakamura. Can't really even get through Benevolent Ancestor, and Antonino is coming over with flyers. A decent mix of land and spells for DeRosa, and that seems to be all he needs.
He's also got some great cards. He's got Palliation Accord, which is going to be very good against that Thunderstorm Trumpeter.
There's Palliation Accord, yep.
So now every time
Shuhei picks it up to read it.
Every time I saw a board the other day with 3 Palliation Accords in play.
Wow.
It's funny. It's an interesting card to play with because I've seen a couple people using it for the first time. It puts you get a counter on it every time one of your opponent's creatures becomes tapped, and then you can remove a counter to prevent the next point of damage that would be dealt to you.
Right. And
I've seen a lot of players sort of the first time they play it have this tendency to want to store the counters up, and so they'll get attacked for 2, and then they'll leave 2 counters on it. And it's like, no, get those counters off right away. Prevent the damage now because it's not really a card that you want to use as a bank. You just really want to not take damage every turn. There's a Minister of Impediments, which is also going to be excellent. An excellent combo.
Tapping his guy, and once again picking up. What is it? Let me make sure I understand. Yeah, all right. I guess I got to tap Snapping Drake, don't I? Rasmus Seabass apparently has a gigantic Gruul Motorog in play. Moldervine Cloak and Pollen Bright Wings.
Flying maybe can only be blocked by more than one guy.
7 power, making a bunch of Saffron-Wings can't be. That's pretty good. Guess game 3 that one may not be a sweep.
Not going down without a fight, for sure.
He, like Antonino DeRosa, very happy these are best 3 out of 5 matches.
Yes.
Hidewater minion for Antonino. Seems to have done a pretty good job of blocking up the ground. Just needs a second flyer so he can get through that Trumpeter. Or a second Steam Core Weird.
He is holding the X spell.
Get Demon Fire?
He does have Demon Fire, so he doesn't need that much more damage.
No. Shuhei's got Minister of Impediments, but Palliation Accord. Going to make it awfully hard for Shuhei Nakamura to get through 20 points of damage.
Yeah, like I said, I think Accord is a card people are still not fully understanding.
I think DeRosa knew exactly what was going on, right? He played game one. He went immediately to the sideboard and got it.
Right.
He's like,
yeah,
oh,
right.
you've got the tap ability guys. All right, you got those annoying white guys with tap abilities. This is where I bring in Palliation Accord.
Against a board of just attackers, all it really does, one Palliation Accord, all it really does is essentially -1 on the attack.
Right.
So
which is not good enough to invest a card in format.
It's usually if they've got an invasion guy, so suddenly a Snapping Drake becomes a Screeching Griffin.
Right.
You know, for all you're doing is attacking with one guy. But if you got this very board control-y situation,
and it's Shuhei's deck is the kind of deck that, you know, the blue-white deck with all the tappers anyway is the one that tends to only be attacking for 2 a turn.
Right.
So it really is sort of dealing a bunch of little bits of damage. Shuhei does have Lightning Helix in his hand, but Antonino's got such a wall of defense here. Doesn't have the ability to attack through Trumpeter and Minister of Impediments right now, but he'll get there eventually. All right, there's Petra Hydrox. Can't Benevolent Ancestor just bounce that every turn?
Yes,
or Tidewater Minion, either one. Yeah, you wish to untap your Petra Hydrox. I know you do. Boing.
I guess he had nothing else. He didn't want to play a.
Well,
he has 2 Snapping Drakes in play now. I did not.
Well, he had 2 Snapping Drakes in play. One of them is
going to die away now.
It's a Lightning Helix.
So he played the Petra Hydrox to get either the wall or the Tidewater Minion to tap.
Yep.
That was a very, very subtle play by Shuhei Nakamura.
Yeah, that was very smart.
It's a very, very subtle play.
If he hadn't played Petra Hydrox and Antonino had Tidewater Minion untapped, Antonino could prevent 1 damage with his wall, untap the wall, prevent a 2nd point of damage, and the Lightning Helix would not have been able to do that.
I've been impressed watching Shuhei play this weekend.
He can play.
You get 3 Pro Tour top 8s.
And a 9th.
And a 9th in a very, very short period of time. I mean, it's like, you know, maybe 18 months he's racked that up.
Yeah.
So, and you definitely have to put him in, you know, the top players in the world right now.
Absolutely.
It's a very short list.
Meanwhile, Rasmus Seabass is on the board. Takes game 3 with that giant Notarog. Now trails Aaron Brackman 2-1.
Funny, when I talked to Rasmus, he couldn't remember any of his first picks other than the Moldavine Cloak. He had a Belfry Spirit. He said maybe the Belfry Spirit. He wasn't very sure, but
Morning Thrall for Shuhei Nakamura. His board is now Morning Thrall, Minister of Impediments, Slaughterhouse Bouncer, Trumpeter, and Tinstreak Hooligan. He's facing off against a Benevolent Ancestor, a Snapping Drake,
Torch Drake, Tidewater Minion,
Palliation Accord with 3 counters, and a Steam Court Weird.
And we have pretty Demon Fire. We have a pretty good hand for DeRosa.
Got Ogre Savant, Soulsworn Jury, and Demon Fire.
So if he can set his board up, he can play the. If he can get a couple more mana, he can play the Soulsworn Jury, and then use the Savant to bounce a key guy.
Oh, that's nice.
Curious if he's just going to bounce a guy now with the Savant. So he's going to bounce probably one of the tappers.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Shuhei only used 1 tapper there.
Again, the tapper over the can't attack, can't block. Right. Because your guy remains upright.
Why did Shuhei take damage there from Torch Drake? Interesting. Is he that worried about counters on the Palliation Accord?
I'm not certain.
I guess the Tidewater Minion cancels it out.
Right.
So he doesn't want to put a counter on. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
Once again, Tidewater Minion making the board super complicated, but Shuhei Nakamura seeing right.
We weren't sure about that pick at the time, but it's. I mean, Tidewater Minion is just one of those guys. He's just a great utility infielder.
Does a lot. Ooh, Gruul Guildmage.
But only for the red ability.
Right.